From WNIJ Studios on the campus of Northern Illinois University, this is Sessions from Studio A. Two different worlds collide when the Blueshift Big Band returns to our show this week. Band leaders Joel Bayer and Chris Parsons combine their passion for jazz and big bands with their love of classic video game soundtracks.
The Great American Songbook and jazz standards come from short songs that were in musicals or TV shows or radio shows. We just happen to be pulling from the new songbook that our generations are grown up with, and that's video games.
We'll also hear some standards and original compositions from them. Stay tuned, it's the Blueshift Big Band coming up this hour on Sessions from Studio A. Welcome to Sessions from Studio A. I'm Spencer Tritt, and the Blueshift Big Band is back on the show this week. We've got an eclectic performance from them coming up this hour with a mix of standards, original compositions, and their unique arrangements of classic video game soundtracks. We'll also talk with band leaders Joel Bayer and Chris Parsons later on, but first, let's get into the studio for this first one. It's DK Island Swing, recorded live by the Blueshift Big Band. This is Sessions from Studio A, and you just heard the Blueshift Big Band performing live in the studio, and I'm here with band leaders Joel Bayer, drummer for the group, and Chris Parsons on guitar. Thank you both so much for coming out for round 2 in Studio A. Tell us some of the history of Blueshift Big Band. How did the two of you meet and get this started?
Joel and I met back at Elmhurst College long ago. I don't want to name numbers. But we met when we were in college, and we played in combo together and a couple other groups. But we had this shared love of big band. And about 6 years ago now, Joel had the idea of just starting a big band. He had enough charts, I had enough charts, and just slapped something together, and we played together once a month. And Joel had this vision to want to record, but to record, you need original music. So we started commissioning guys in the band, other Chicago area writers. I had some charts, he had some charts. And it pretty quickly within the year grew to an all-original big band. And one of the ideas he had was to do a lot of video game music. So that's where we are.
Yeah, so that's something that I think really makes you guys unique, obviously. Where did that come in, the decision to mix video game soundtracks with your love of big band music also?
Well, I was thinking about what is the music that people could connect to? People who don't know anything about jazz, don't know anything about big band music. What is music that they enjoy? People in their 20s and 30s, kind of our age. And we have done some pop music, but I felt like some of those melodies in the video game tunes are so recognizable. And we had the right people sort of involved, Richie Palis, Joe Clark, Neil Carson, who have just a really cool vision for how they can take a 30-second melody and expand it into this amazing piece of music.
Yeah, I'm curious more about, most of these are very short theme songs. You're used to, when you're playing a video game, it's like the melodies are so catchy that it's the same thing over and over again, but it somehow doesn't get old. So what's it like taking a short melody like that and then building these big compositions off of it? Tell us how that process works for the group.
It's nothing that's not uncommon within the jazz idiom to take. The Great American Songbook and jazz standards come from short songs that were in musicals or TV shows or radio shows. So the discipline that all the arrangers have come from that idea where you're taking a 30-second melody from a song or from a 2-minute song and expounding on it. It just happens to be with video game songs. And I think there's a little bit more variety in there, in that if you're going through playing a video game, that those melodies are repeated throughout in different stages, if it's the underground level or the winter level. So you have a lot of different ideas to pull from just within the video game itself. So because we study jazz or writing and composition, that's part of it. And because nobody else has really tackled these tunes the way we do them, you could do whatever you want, really. You just get back to the melody at the top. But it's because we do follow a very traditional jazz. We're a jazz band. We're not a video game band. And we just happen to be pulling from the new songbook that our generations are grown up with, and that's video games.
Right. It's sort of continuing the history here of, big band music, and sort of with this twist on it. Did you guys ever get any pushback from people, like, why are you doing these video game songs or anything like that?
Not to our face, but I'm sure people have some opinions about that. I don't know. I think, one of the important things to us is that these compositions, these arrangements are exceptional. They're really cool, the ensemble parts, and they leave space for improvisation, which is what this music is all about, right? And we're also interested in doing standards. We're also interested in making original compositions, like a couple of the tunes that we played here today. So that's all important to us. But we need a hook, and video games is the hook.
Well, and the other building on that is very few people know where All the Things You Are came from. They don't know what musical that was a part of, but that's part of the jazz standard, part of the jazz language, and we're just introducing some new tunes into that. We believe firmly in what the art form of a big band is, But if you die on the hill with, well, this is how it used to be done, those guys weren't doing it how it used to be done. That's the hilarity in the whole thing is Ellington was innovating.
Right.
And Holman was innovating, and Buddy Rich was innovating. And it was so powerful that became the rules that everybody else decided to live by. So, the charts are good, and you don't need to know what video games they're from to know that they're good tunes, at least in our opinion. Yeah. And they'll just continue to talk behind our back, and we're fine with that.
I remember my first exposure to big band was probably like a lot of people, Frank Sinatra, Glenn Miller, some Duke Ellington. What was the first big band you ever remember hearing, first big band music?
Well, the first big band that I ever heard, I distinctly remember my dad going to the store and buying a copy of Buddy Rich's Swinging New Big Band from 1966. And on that record, and I think this relates to what we're talking about, on that record are a bunch of R&B and rock and pop tunes. And Buddy at that time was trying to break into a different audience. He had been playing with, Harry James and playing more traditional big band stuff, and he wanted to play in rock clubs and play to a younger audience. And so I think that we took that approach when we were thinking about the video games. How can we reach a younger audience? And so Buddy Rich, for me, that record, Swinging New Big Band, very important for my development. What about you, Chris?
The first band that had had a major impact on me was I got to see the Bill Holman Big Band live. That was the first professional big band I ever saw. And I had listened to some big band music and seen the Elmhurst Jazz Band play, but I had the opportunity in high school to see that band live at the Elmhurst Jazz Festival, and it blew me away, and that was it. And, to build on this theme, I'm sitting there watching this band from the West Coast play, and then they play A Day in the Life by the Beatles. So, if we're... jazz musicians pull inspiration from anywhere, and that one, I still think of that fondly to this day.
We are talking with Joel Bayer and Chris Parsons, band leaders of the Blueshift Big Band. You can check out more from the band over on their website, blueshiftbigband.com. They're also on Instagram and Facebook at Blueshift Big Band. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more music and conversation coming up this hour. This is Sessions from Studio A. Welcome back to Sessions from Studio A. If you're just joining us, our guest is the Blueshift Big Band, back for their second time on Sessions from Studio A. We've been talking with band leaders Joel Bayer and Chris Parsons about their love of big band music and classic video game soundtracks. We're going to take a break from the video game tunes for a moment here, though, to hear a standard performed by the group. This is I Love You, originally by Cole Porter, and it features the trombonist from the group, Grant Dawson, singing lead vocals for this one. It's the Blueshift Big Band, recorded live on Sessions from Studio A.
I love you, comes the April breeze. I love you, echo the hills. I love you, the golden dawn agrees. As once more she sees daffodils. It's spring again, it burns on the wing again. Start to sing again those old melodies. I love you, that's the song of songs, and it all belongs to you and me. I love you, hums the April breeze. I love you, echo the hills. I love you, the golden dawn of breeze. As once more she sees daffodils. It's spring again, and birds on the wing again start to sing again that old melody. I love you, that's the song of songs, and it all belongs.
The Blueshift Big Band, recorded live on Sessions from Studio A. That was their arrangement of one from Sonic the Hedgehog, The Marble Zone. We're hearing a mix of originals, jazz standards, and classic video game soundtracks performed live in Studio A by the Blueshift Big Band. And stay with us. Right after the short break, we'll be back with more music. This is Sessions from Studio A. Welcome back to Sessions from Studio A. Let's get right back into our session with the Blueshift Big Band. We've been hearing a mix of originals, jazz standards, and classic video game soundtracks from them. Here's an original written by drummer and bandleader Joel Bayer. It's a tribute to one of our favorite local places, the Norwegian restaurant in Rockford, where Joel often performs. This is The Norwegian Blues by Blueshift Big Band, recorded live in WNIJ's Studio A. You played the Norwegian Blues. That one's an original tune from you guys. Tell us about the Norwegian Blues.
So the Norwegian Blues was written by me and arranged for big band by Sam Wolsk, who's playing trumpet in the section. And it's a tribute to the Norwegian, a restaurant in Rockford, Illinois.
Shout out Emily Hurd.
What's up, Emily? So I love that place. I grew up in Rockford. I have another big band, the Joel Bear Big Band, that plays around the Rockford area. We've played at the Norwegian. I've played trio gigs at the Norwegian, and I love that place, and I believe in it, and the staff, and Emily, and Mark. So, it was the thing that I could do to sort of, give a tribute to them musically.
Oh, that's fantastic. I was going to ask if you were Norwegian, but I love that ties into
Yeah, because
Rockford
Emily's
there.
done the show before, right? She's
Oh,
played
yeah.
on it, so.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Tell us about some of the recordings that you have out for the big band. You have some stuff out, I think, on Bandcamp. Tell us about some recordings.
So in 2020, we put out an album of original music or arrangements. Chris had a couple of arrangements on there, a couple of Bob Ojeda arrangements, and that is out on vinyl on Bandcamp. In November, we released our first album of video game music with an LA label called I Am 8-Bit. And that has a couple of the tunes that we did today, DK Island Swing being one of them. And then we're going to release another volume. So the album is titled Joystick Jazz, the Blueshift Big Band Plays Iconic Video Game Hits. And volume 1 is available on Spotify, wherever you stream music, and the vinyl is available for pre-order. And volume 2 should be coming out later this year, probably around the holidays.
Wow, that's awesome. And I can't stress enough, like we were saying earlier, you don't have to know these video games to enjoy these. And also, you don't have to be a big band fan to enjoy them also. I think it's total bridge between...
That's exactly what we're going for.
Yeah.
We are interested in playing good music. We're passionate about this style of music, but we hope that whatever we're playing just comes across as good music.
What was the recording process like? Did you track those in Chicago? Tell us a little bit about recording those.
Yeah, the first 2 records we recorded at Electrical Audio, Steve Albini's studio, and we recorded one more record there with a blues guitar player and singer, Guy King, which will hopefully be out sometime soon. But for the record that will be coming out later this year, we recorded at Palisades, a different studio for us, with a different engineer, Andy Baker producing, and Freddie Breitberg is the engineer. So just trying something different, different room, different environment, and it inspired us differently. And it was what made working at Palisades nice is it was everybody in one room.
Oh, wow. Nice big studio.
Very live, and it allowed everybody, I think, to interact in a different way than the first 2 locations. We had the drums in the room with all the horns, which we didn't do before, and it gave a different energy, I think, that will come across in the recordings.
Nice. Yeah, a little more live sounding maybe. But did you see Steve Albini walking around with that, jumpsuit thing he wears?
They all wear them. They all wear the overalls.
They look like mechanics.
It's the uniform.
Yeah.
What are some future plans for the big band this fall of this year? What's coming up for you guys?
Well, we have a residency currently at Andy's Jazz Club every second Monday of the month in Chicago. So that's been really fun to play at such a legendary Chicago jazz club. In a rotation, every Monday there's a different big band there. So it's really cool to be a part of that. We are continuing our residency at Fulton Street Collective in Chicago on the first Thursday of every month. And we have a different theme for every show. So sometimes we'll do famous albums. We did a Count Basie album called I Told You So with all Bill Holman charts. We did a Buddy Rich record all the way down. And then the next one we've got coming up is we're going to feature Grant Dawson singing on both sets. So, yeah, we like to mix it up. We like to try to do different things. We have another recording session coming up that will end up being a 3rd video game record and a Record Store Day release that will hopefully come out next year.
Oh, a Record Store Day release.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Where can people go to find info about that and find more from
the
you?
website is blueshiftbigband.com. We're on all the socials at Blueshift Big Band. Well, Instagram and Facebook. I guess the only 2 that matter for musicians. Instagram and Facebook at Blueshift Big Band. And we post every time we got a gig or recordings, and so people could follow us and stay abreast of what we're accomplishing.
Awesome. And the music is out on all the streaming services, like you mentioned, and I believe over on Bandcamp there too, if people want to purchase, download some of that. Joel and Chris, thank you so much, and everybody in the Blueshift Big Band, thank you for coming out today and playing in Studio A. Great show. You've been hearing my talk with Joel Bayer and Chris Parsons of the Blueshift Big Band, and it's about time for our show to be drawing to a close tonight, but we have time for one more, and you can't have video game music without some Mario. This is Blueshift Big Band recorded live on Sessions from Studio A. Blueshift Big Band, recorded live on Sessions from Studio A. And closing out our show this week with that theme from Super Mario 64. Some of us who grew up in the 90s will definitely have some memories of that one. That will wrap up our show for this week. A big thanks to the Blueshift Big Band and band leaders Joel Bayer and Chris Parsons for talking with us and performing live in Studio A. Also thanks to you for listening in to this episode. You can find more from the Big Band over on blueshiftbigband.com. Also find the Blueshift Big Band's music on the usual streaming platforms, Spotify and Apple Music, and you can download their albums over on Bandcamp. They're also on Facebook and Instagram at Blueshift Big Band. Head over to WNIJ.org to hear this episode in its entirety. We've also got behind-the-scenes video from their live performance, including some songs that we didn't have time to get to in this week's show. Head over to WNIJ.org to find those, and also on the WNIJ YouTube channel. Sessions from Studio A is produced on the campus of Northern Illinois University at WNIJ Studios. Producers are yours truly and Mike Lundgren. I'm Spencer Tritt. Thanks so much for joining me this week, and I'll see you next time on another edition of Sessions from Studio A.